Hi dear children, welcome to English class. How are you? Good? Happy? Energetic? Okay. I hope everyone is happy and healthy. As I'm your language teacher, you won't be surprised if I asked you about your reading habits. Will you? Okay. How many of you have read this book, The Magic by Rhonda Byron? It's actually a 28 days program for learning to be grateful. And the first chapter of that book is Count Your Blessings. So let me ask you, have you ever counted your blessings? Or do you feel that you are blessed? Okay, answer may not be yes always, isn't it? Whenever we face a problem, we always blame someone or something for it, isn't it? And then otherwise we term it as our fate. But today I am going to tell you the story of a lady who mocked at her fate with her sheer determination. And that is Evelyn Glennie. Name of this unit is The Sound of Music, and we are going to discuss the first part. And I should say this chapter has the most beautiful introduction because the author mentions that Evelyn Glennie listens to music without hearing it. But is it possible? Or do you feel confused? Do you feel that it's possible to listen to something without hearing it? Okay, let's see how it is. But before we move on to the chapter, let's be familiarized with the author, Deborah Cowley. She is a freelance writer and broadcaster. She grew up in Toronto, graduated from the University of Western Ontario, and she moved to Ottawa to work for Unitarian Service Committee. And she has worked as a reporter for CBC radio and has worked in TV documentaries. So this is actually about this Evelyn Glennie. This chapter is actually by Deborah Cowley. And here you can see the picture of Evelyn Glennie. And she says, I'm not a deaf musician. I'm a musician who happened to be deaf. So, it's certainly an insightful statement by her, isn't it? And the success story of Evelyn Glennie. Actually, James Blades has said that God may have taken her hearing, but He has given her back something extraordinary. What we hear, she feels far more deeply than us. And that is why she expressed music so beautifully. And it means, although God has taken away her power of hearing, He has blessed her with something extraordinary, and that is her sense of feeling. And she feels very deeply and far deeper than the normal people. And that is why she expressed music so beautifully. And who is Evelyn Glennie? She is a well-known multi-percussionist. She plays different percussion instruments like xylophone, drums, etc. Do you know what is percussion instruments? Actually, these are musical instruments which are played by striking with hands or with sticks or by a beater or by shaking it. Example, drums, tabla, dongs, bells, etc. And the story of Evelyn Glennie, it's really motivating. Her story inspires us to overcome our physical and mental disabilities, make ourselves strong, and achieve our dreams and goals. Now let's begin the story. The story begins in an underground platform, and there was a huge rush. People were jostling. What do you mean by jostling? Yeah, pushing each other to make some space. So they were all jostling, and Evelyn was standing in the platform waiting for the train. and she seemed very nervous and yet excited. She felt the vibrations of the approaching train, and she was feeling even more nervous because it was her first day at the prestigious Royal College of Music. Royal Academy of Music in London. You can see the picture here. It is actually very famous, and to get an admission in that university means something very super. So it was her first day and she was feeling highly excited. At the same time, she was equally nervous because she is actually from a Scottish farm and she was very new to the busy, bustling life of London. And she was just a teenager who is about the age of 17, and so she was really frightened and intimidated. She is actually an aspiring musician, but she has a great challenge that she had to face, and that is she is profoundly deaf. Now, tell me, is it possible for a person who is completely deaf to be a musician? Sometimes or no. Generally, when we think, we will say no, isn't it? But Evelyn was a profoundly deaf person. So let's see how she became deaf and then how she overcame her problems. So her loss of hearing, that was a gradual process. It was her mother, Isabel Glennie, who found that she was deaf at the age of 8. The incident happens like this. Evelyn was waiting for playing piano and she was waiting for her turn, and then what happens is that when her name was called, she was not hearing it, and then her mother identifies that something is wrong with her hearing. But it was a gradual loss of hearing. So when she identified that she is losing her hearing capacity, she tried to hide it from her friends and teachers. But that also couldn't last long. When she reached 11, her marks started deteriorating, and then academic performance was worsened. So naturally, the headmaster asked the parents to take her to a doctor, and doctor said advised her to use hearing aids. But then also it was not curing her problem. A kind of nerve damage has caused her loss of hearing and she became profoundly deaf. So the final solution was that she should be sent to a school for deaf. And with that, little Evelyn felt that everything has turned black around her. And it was a sudden feeling because she is not going to be treated as a normal child. And she is going to be sent to the school for deaf children. So that was really depressing for her. And what she felt is like she could see only darkness around her. So what will happen in such a situation? This is actually enough for any 11-year-old child to be highly depressed. But Evelyn was really different. She didn't give up. She was determined to lead a normal life. And she first wished to pursue her interest in music. She was not broken and she was facing everything very boldly. And one day, when she saw a girl playing the xylophone, she also felt that she should also learn it. Now here you can see the picture of xylophone. It's actually a wooden instrument with wooden bars of different length. And it's not easy for a person who is completely deaf to learn to play a musical instrument. Hearing is very important. So many of her teachers discouraged her. But she was so determined and highly passionate about it. And one day, Ron Forbes, a percussionist, identified her, and he could easily know that she is highly passionate about music. So he felt like if she is further trained, she could be developed despite her physical disabilities. And that is how Ron Forbes started training Evelyn Glennie. Now, here begins the musical journey of Evelyn. Ron Forbes, he tuned two different drums into two different notes so that they'll create different sounds. And now he advised Evelyn to listen to the music in some other way other than by hearing it. So he asked her to feel the music using her body. And that instruction proved to be a turning point in Evelyn's life. And Evelyn felt the higher drum with the waist up, that means the up part of her waist, and the low with the using the lower part, that means the part of body from the waist down. She started feeling the lower notes of the drum, and that is how she started learning music. And miracles do happen, isn't it? Forbes repeated that exercise. Evelyn felt certain notes from different parts of her body, and she learned to open her mind and body to the sounds and vibrations. And this turned possible because of her hard work and determination. She had the determination to become a good musician, and for that she worked really hard, and there was nothing that could stop her, and thus her career progressed. And then what happens? The musician in her gradually developed. She toured in UK with Youth Orchestra. Youth Orchestra is a group of musicians, young musicians. And at the age of 16, she decided to make music her life. And she was auditioned for Royal Academy of Music and scored the highest marks in the history of that academy. She worked in the group in the beginning, and once when she became confident and when she had enough experience, she started doing solo performances. And by the end of that 3 years course, she captured most of the top awards. And even then, if anybody is saying that Evelyn has done a great work, she won't acknowledge that. She's very humble and down to earth. And she always says, success is based on hard work and aim. If you work hard and you know where you are going, you will get there. That is her theory. And finally, she reached the top. Now, Evelyn Glennie is the most sought after multi-percussionist with the mastery of over 1,000 instruments and very busy international schedule. She has programs and concerts all over the world, and it's really intriguing. Intriguing means fascinating. It's a really fascinating thing to watch Evelyn perform without any visible effort, though she cannot hear. And with all this description, you may have felt like, okay, she learned music with her hard work. She became popular in that because of her practice and work. But do you think that such a person can easily decode what we are saying? That was very particular about Evelyn. Here, Deborah Cowley, she says that she had a chance to interview Evelyn, and that session lasted for almost 2 hours. And throughout the time of interaction, Evelyn never missed a single word. But she humorously said that men with bushy beard give her trouble. What might be the reason? Because she is actually decoding what we are saying through the lip movements. So if the man has very long bushy beards, she cannot understand what they are saying. But this doesn't mean that she only read our lips, but she see the whole expression on our face, especially the eyes, and that helps her to make out what we are saying. And with this, the surprising facts about Evelyn doesn't end. She has learned French and mastered basic Japanese. That is another surprising fact about her. A deaf person learning two another languages. So in the case of English, we can say that she says that because she has listened to that language until she was 11. And she always speaks English with a Scottish lisp. That accent is Scottish accent. But in the case of French and Japanese, we have to salute her for her determination and hard work. And when somebody asks her about her profession, how she learns music or how she practices music, she says that it creates a sensation in her. And she say in her own words, if you're saying, music tinkles in her skin's cheekbone and even through her hair. So every part of her body responds to music. While playing xylophone, she senses the sound passing up the stick to her fingertips. She feels the resonances, that means echo, into her body by leaning against the drums. And if she is platforming on a wooden platforms, she'll remove her shoes and then allow the vibrations to pass up to her body through the legs. So it's not through ears, it's through her body that she is sensing the music. So she is not just hearing it, she is not just listening to music, she is feeling the music. And that makes her a wonderful musician. And all her hard works are recognized. She is awarded in 1991 with the Royal Philharmonic Society's prestigious Soloist of the Award for her solo performances. And then about Evelyn as a person, if you are talking, we have to say that she is a workaholic. Workaholic means she works really hard and she never feel like stop working. And to be par with other classical musicians, Evelyn's work really hard, even harder than them. And then she says that the rewards for her hard work is enormous. And beyond her popularity and earnings and recognitions, she does a lot of charity also. Here you can see the pictures. She does free concerts in hospitals and prisons. And she is highly interested and give a lot of priority to the classes for young musicians. And then if you ask about Anne Richland, she belongs to the Beethoven Fund of Deaf Children. She says that Evelyn is a shining inspiration for the deaf children, because when they see Evelyn or when they talk to Evelyn, they get the feeling that those deaf children get the feeling that if Evelyn can do that, they can also achieve their dreams. They see that there is nowhere that they cannot go. To conclude, she has accomplished more than what normal people do. Like most people of twice her age, she has achieved beyond them. And in the case of her achievements, beyond the recognition, beyond the popularity, she has done a great thing. And it is that actually orchestra means what? It's a group of people who plays different musical instruments, and generally the percussion instruments like drum, xylophone and all, it's keep at the back end of the orchestra or on the side so that nobody will easily notice them. But when Evelyn gives a performance, she gives spatial performances. She brings it forward and so that everyone can see the person performing over there. and she has demonstrated the percussion can be very moving. And because of her, the percussion instruments are brought to the front. She has inspired many people, especially the physically challenged ones, because Evelyn reminds them that if Evelyn can achieve her dreams, they can. So, such a great motivational figure is Evelyn Glennie. And she has given her audience much pleasure through her music. So that enormous pleasure that she has given to millions of people will make her a figure which can never be faded. Now, when we finally conclude, this is not just a story to be read. It gives a message which we all should copy in our life. We all are truly blessed when we compare ourselves to Evelyn, isn't it? We have to be highly candid. We have to accept that we are all highly blessed by God and we are all superb creations. And always keep in your mind, my dear children, that our physical abilities or disabilities or what others say about us doesn't define our capabilities. We have to define ourselves with our determination. So be determined, be confident to face anything, and set a goal, move towards it, and achieve it. I know everyone is going to come out with flying colors. Okay? So, with that, I hope you understood the explanation. Thank you so much.